Last time, in my video about the art style, I talked about how important it is to have attention to detail. Today I want to talk about something similar, how little things in Guild Wars 2 make the world come alive. Let us start by considering this wolf. This wolf can be found right behind you as soon as you start the game in the Norn area. As we can see, this wolf has a number of different animations. He has different poses, different actions, and behaves differently in a random fashion. This gives the impression that the wolf is sort of alive. This kind of detail is very important in my opinion. It makes the creature seem alive rather than robotic beings being controlled by a script. The fact that this wolf, that most people aren't even likely to see, has over 1 minute of different animations, as well as the fact that when the little girl comes next to the wolf, he sort of acts in a playful manner, all come together to create an immersive experience. I also love how your character interacts with objects. In this video we can see that the foot doesn't go through the object or the other one doesn't hang in midair. Instead, your character adopts a pose for this particular situation. What's even more impressive is this is not limited to small simple objects but also to complex terrain like we can see here. Another thing that impresses me quite a bit is how alive characters seem. NPCs in Guild Wars 2 don't stay in one place. They just walk around, interact with different characters, and do their own thing.
I've crossed the sea plenty of times. What did we do to deserve this affliction?
Maybe nothing.
I just want to get out of here. South, to profitable waters and beyond.
I know. So do I. Wounds. There is no ailment that cannot be cured by some of my great oil.
Oh, come on. Like that's gonna work on me.
There's also humor in the game, like this arena fenced with the ArenaNet logo and a net right above it, or the following dialogue between two NPCs.
Of all the gods, I think I like Grenth the least.
Strange thing for a necromancer to say.
He's just so morbid. Death, destruction, darkness. It's all too depressing.
You may want to rethink your choice of profession.
Can't stand those damn Asura anymore. Give me some whiskey.
Tell you what, I'll buy you a drink.
That's more like it. All is forgiven.
Environments just sound alive.
Troop movements in the Mist War follow a predictable pattern, except when radio field theory implies otherwise.
All I know is that this soldier is heading back through the portal tomorrow, and my movements will be completely badass.
Transitioning from one material to the next also transitions the sound seamlessly. Attention was even paid to real-life behavior. If you jump into the water from a great height, as you can see, you will end up submerged. However, if you jump from a close distance to the water, you will simply float. There's detail even in small things such as water splashing. Depending how deep the water is, the splashing sound it makes will differ as you run through it. Small things like a couple of chickens following a rooster are both funny to see and somewhat realistic. It's also interesting to come across NPCs such as this one, that although he didn't try to grab my attention in any way, well, except by his appearance perhaps, he had a story to tell, a story which coincidentally ties also with the books. Such things help to provide continuity in the Guild Wars 2 universe. Although definitely not exactly a small thing, the Guild Wars 2 engine brings a lot to the table when it comes to immersion. As we can see, by its large viewing distance, it can provide a sense of scale that is unparalleled. Even though we're a great distance away, we can see the suns of Svanir, even though the size of a speck, planting the bombs on the bridge before blowing it up. Talking of blowing up the bridge, this is not just simply a cinematic that plays out and then finishes like nothing happened. The debris that falls from the bridge remains on the ground and blocks your way. Before you could go through the canyon normally under the bridge without any issue, but now you're blocked from doing so. Just one of the consequences of failing a dynamic event. While not a feature exclusive to Guild Wars 2, it is nice that Guild Wars 2 allows you to open closed doors and go through them seamlessly. It is also nice how ArenaNet took the time to put an inscription on every single tombstone. And we're not just talking about important tombstones in a mission critical area, but rather every single tombstone in multiple zones. When we think of villages in the open world in other MMOs, we generally think about a couple of houses, a fence, a few NPCs running around, perhaps a horse, and maybe a few chickens. This is not so in Guild Wars 2 though, where villages actually means city walls, various houses of varying size, artwork, constructions, people, gardening. Truly something to behold. Even a small newly formed outpost stands out from the crowd. Although still has that feeling of being under construction, it still is an area where you can really believe that people are actually living there. And this is because of how the buildings are structured, the size of the place, and the attention to detail. Another nice detail of Guild Wars 2 is that it doesn't make all of its content obvious. Consider the following scholar. She really does nothing to grab your attention or no indication that she is anything but just another normal NPC. However, if you talk to her, she will tell you about this book that she is trying to translate. In this book, there's a ritual that is supposed to open a gate to the underworld. At the end of her dialogue, she will ask if she should perform the ritual or not. If you agree, she will actually do the ritual and things will actually happen. Having content that doesn't draw attention to itself, in my opinion, is quite immersive, as obviously in the real world it's impossible to be aware of everything that's going on.
This'll lead straight into the underworld, if it works right.
And if it doesn't?
I suppose we'll discover that later. Do it again sometime?
Oh, probably not. That never stops us, though.
When it comes to science, err on the side of curiosity.
Here's an NPC sitting down on the ground. This is generally something you expect a human player to do. It's a nice touch. Due in part to the great viewing distance that we have already talked about, siege weapons in Guild Wars 2 feel like real siege weapons. Trebuchets do not simply shoot a projectile a few feet in front of them, but rather cover a huge distance, making them much more immersive. How about diversity between classes? If a necromancer picks up a rock, he can just throw it. However, if an elementalist picks up a rock, in addition to simply throwing it, he can also use it as a component to use a meteor spell. As we can see, the meteor spell itself does considerable more damage than a regular attack, making it actually useful. But let me finish off with what is perhaps the most interesting little thing I came across. This tour NPC will give you a tour of his area and describe things to you. He really does nothing other than provide context and lore to the player. There aren't many MMOs that provide content that don't give quests or really advance the story. Such little things add a lot to Immersion in my opinion, and it's important to appreciate these little details. Till next time, thanks a lot for watching and have a good week.
Please refrain from bringing food or drink into the menagerie. Hadrian found this beauty on his last expedition, seemingly abandoned. He carried it back here in his own arms. Hard to imagine someone trying to pick him up today. We call this one the Beast, after he wounded 3 handlers on his first day here. Don't worry, magical shielding and a steady diet of sausages keep him at bay. Zookeeper Hadrian is a famous adventurer. He's collected animals from all over the world. Even now, he's searching the wilds for more exotic creatures.
Hey, did you miss me?
Thank you for joining us on this tour of Divinity's Reach.